What's going on, guys? Alpha the Wizard back at it with another video. Today we are continuing the meta history of Yu-Gi-Oh! And in today's episode, we're going to be covering the start of Dark Arm Return format starting February of 2008. However, this list is right after the ban list. This is Jerry Wang's deck profile. I definitely think he was playing the best version of Dark Arm Return. So without further ado, I will go ahead and hop right in. This was indeed a tier 0 format, and there wasn't many other deck options that could compete. So to start things off with the boss monsters, we have the card that we abuse most, and that's Dark Magician of Chaos. And then, of course, with Dark Magician of Chaos, synergizing with the strategy, we play 3 Dark Arm Dragon. This is the center of everything and how we are just going to OTK our opponent very easily and clear the board and set up for the OTK. So, but yeah, Dark Magician of Chaos, this card is insane. And this version is IOC, so it's even more insane because you can read the real effect, because this card did receive an errata because it was too powerful, and then they brought it off the ban list. But yeah, Dark Magician of Chaos, simply being able to abuse Dimension Fusion and summon this card back and keep recycling Dimension Fusion made this card so worthwhile. But yeah, so 3 copies of Dark Arm, 1 copy of what they call DMOC, and we do play a single copy of Dark Lord Zerato because if you bring this back from return, it's very common that it comes up where you can just pitch a Dark to basically nuke their whole board. So there's that one, and then this deck does play a single copy of Jinzo because Jinzo is just so good this format because it cuts off return from the different dimension, it cuts off escape from the dark dimension. Yeah, so Jinzo is really powerful this format, and it's very, very easy to summon, and it's ideally one of the cards you want to bring back with Dimension Fusion or return. And then we do play a single copy of Dark Grepher. Dark Grepher synergizes with the strategy really well because you're able to get Disc Commander in the graveyard faster. That we are playing the Hero Engine with this because it was the most consistent of the variants. So just to touch on the hero cards that we play, we do play an elemental hero Stratos. Now Stratos is definitely a core part of the engine just for the sole purpose of recurring the Destiny heroes. Now I will say Destiny Hero Malicious is at 2 this format because it would have just been way too powerful if they left Malicious at 3. However, it's still fine, the deck functions perfectly okay. So yeah, 1 single copy of Stratos. That card did not last at 3 long at all. And then we of course played 2 copies of Malicious. Now Malicious is just really good because you're able to abuse it with Dark Grepher and also being able to just banish it to summon like maybe a Jinzo is just really key in this strategy. And then we do play a single copy of Disc Commander. Now, Disc Commander, this is the card that we're abusing the most in this deck. Just for the sole purpose, when it's summoned from the graveyard, you can draw 2 cards. And for whatever reason, Konami let Monster Reborn legal this format. So we have Monster Reborn and Premature Burial to easily abuse Disc Commander, as well as all the draw engine that we already have. This deck is just insanely fast, and as soon as Dark Arm Dragon decks became a thing, the format just changed, and Monarch decks and Perfect Circle decks were just no longer relevant. And then I kind of switched up a few tech options of Jerry's build. Jerry didn't play this, but I think it's necessary. Play 1 single copy of Destiny Hero Plasma. Now Plasma is just really insane for the strategy because just being able to just take like one of your opponent's monster and it's basically a skill drain for them is very powerful this format because then they can't summon Stratos and get an effect. Yeah, Plasma is really, really good in my opinion. And then we do play Destiny Hero Dasher. A lot of people opted to play 2 copies of this format because if you bring it back from return, it's very easy to just tribute a monster and give him 1000 attack. So sometimes it can come up if you're just shy some life points and you're forced to summon a Malicious off Dimension Fusion. Alright, and this is where the deck gets a little spicy. So Jerry opted to play 3 copies of Cyber Valley. Now, how Cyber Valley is so good in this deck, and this card is actually what won him the finals against an FTK deck. Cyber Valley is one of the best cards that you can summon off of Dimension Fusion, because if you don't have access to the Dark Magician of Chaos, summoning Cyber Valley to just basically keep drawing through your deck into more draw cards, into your power cards, Cyber Valley just adds that flexibility. And yeah, Cyber Valley, I think Jerry knew what he was doing when he opted to play 3 of this, because it does have 3 really good effects, and it's a very easy out to Light and Darkness Dragon. So Jerry was very smart for making this option. And we do play a singular copy of Card Trooper, just because Card Trooper is really good this format. Definitely getting Darks in the graveyard, as well as milling, you know, a Disc Commander, or even a big Dark that you might want in the graveyard, or even Malicious. You know, Trooper is just really good, and it's a good recursion component. And then we do play a single copy of Sangan. Now, Sangan is also really important in this format. Pretty much every format, you know, I'm sure you hear the same spiel every video. Sangan is a staple in these formats and for many years to come. So along with Sangan, just to have some more targets, as well as, you know, it's very hard for an opponent to out like cards like Spirit Reaper this format. They're forced to play cards like Smashing Ground or Lightning Vortex, and a lot of people just don't fit those into their list this format. Some people do play it like the DDT decks. However, most Dark Arm Return mirrors don't have like a whole lot of outs to this other than Dark Arm itself and Dark Lord Zerato. Maybe Plasma if they choose to play it, but not a lot of people played Plasma back then. But I think Plasma is a good option. Alright, so that's basically the gist of the monsters. Now, Jerry, the way he won the finals was very interesting, and I would highly recommend looking up Metagame, Chris Perovic, and reading the finals of SJC in March of 2008. It's very good, and you will learn a lot from it if you're ever interested in this format. But then, moving on to the spells, we have the heart and soul of the deck, and that is Dimension Fusion. Now, Dimension Fusion really is the heart and soul of this deck. It's a 1 copy, so you can only play 1. However, just being able to abuse Dimension Fusion and Dark Magician of Chaos to just keep drawing through your deck is just really, really good. Because you can just summon back 3 Cyber Valleys, a Dark Magician of Chaos, and then like a Jinzo if staged properly. And then from there, you could re-banish the Dark Magician of Chaos to draw 2 cards, use the Dimension Fusion that you added back from the Dark Magician of Chaos to just keep doing the same thing until you have all the cards that you need to make the kill. But since we do play 3 Cyber Valley, Jerry opted to play a single copy of Machine Dupe, which I can definitely agree with. Being able to get 3 Cyber Valleys on the first turn is so powerful. And this card, honestly, yeah, it can be a brick sometimes, but when you resolve Machine Duplication, you're so far ahead of that game that it's very hard for your opponent to catch up in most cases. And since we are playing the Destiny Heroes, we play 3 copies of D-Draw. So D-Draw, this deck can basically almost draw through its entire deck given the right cards. So Destiny Draw is very important since we run so many Destiny Heroes. Destiny Hero Engine is definitely mandatory in my opinion. Some people opted to play without and did very well, such as Adam Korn. However, I just think in the recursion aspect, Destiny Heroes with Cyber Valley is way too good. And speaking of recursion, he did play 3 copies of Allure of Darkness. You know, the whole deck's dark, why not? And then there are mandatory staples of the format, such as Premature Burial. Pretty much every build played Premature Burial because of this commander, as well as Monster Reborn. The reason why they brought this back, I will never figure out. But with this commander being a card, I don't think that should have happened. The deck would have been hindered a little bit. And then of course we play the single copy of Heavy Storm. It's a blowout card and it changes formats. And then also a single copy of Brain Control because it is at 1 this format. And then Jerry also opted to play a single copy of Gold Sarcophagus. Now, this is definitely understandable because you can banish like a Dark Magician of Chaos, and you could just immediately Dimension Fusion it back and just start doing a lot of things. Or you could just banish Dark Armed Dragon and play a slower pace game and just beat your opponent that way. And then we do play a single copy of Reinforcements of the Army. You don't really need 2 of these, but there is justification for playing 2. But since I'm playing Plasma in this build, I opted to just stick with 1 because I don't ever want this card to be dead. Even though we have Stratos and we have Grepher, 2 targets just simply isn't enough for me to justify 2. But yeah, so that's really it for all the spell cards of this deck. Now, I really hope that you're kind of following, like, you know, the strategy behind this deck and what it's doing, because it really was powerful, and this is a format that I truly love. And then moving on to the traps, we do play 3 Return from the Different Dimension, mainly because we're banishing cards really fast, and if we can stage this for our turn, we can set up for an OTK and just OTK with ease, so paying half your life points doesn't really mean much. You definitely just want to be able to OTK your opponent. And then of course the blowout cards, we have Torrential Tribute. This card was still around. Most people played it, some people opted not to, but most people did. And a lot of people did start cutting Mirror Force this format. However, they still played Crush Card Virus. Crush Card Virus was very much more relevant than ever this format, and whoever saw Crush Card Virus first usually won that game. However, it's not impossible to play through. But then, for more hand control aspects, Jerry also played a Trap Dust Shoot and a Mind Crush. I'm pretty sure he played these for the sole reason, you know, FTK decks were becoming really popular, and it paid off for him because he played an FTK deck in the finals. And yeah, so it definitely worked out in his favor, being able to crush card his opponent game 1, and yeah, stopped his opponent in his tracks. But yeah, so that's basically the gist of Dark Arm Return. I really hope you enjoyed this profile, and maybe I'll do some replays in the future of this format just to show how fun it actually is. But with all that being said, I will see you in the next one.